Before Neville Chamberlain flew to Germany to appease Adolf Hitler, he said, "European peace is what I'm aiming at, and I hope this journey may open the way to get it." And here we are, 87 years later, and European peace and peace in the West is being threatened again. Upon his return from Germany with his piece of paper, Chamberlain said, "We are resolved that the method of consultation shall be the method adopted to deal with any other questions that may concern our two countries." And 338 days later, Britain was at war with Germany. So this morning I was thinking about this debate and the worthiness of consultation, which Chamberlain invoked, and the motion this House believes the West is right to be suspicious of Islam. And then I started thinking about a cartoon that I have here in this envelope. It's a cartoon which I think it instills in me feelings much, much more worrying than suspicion. But you know, in the spirit of consultation, I'll just leave it here for the moment, if we're okay with that. So, first let us start with the word suspicion. There was a minority, going back to Chamberlain and that brilliant foreign policy, there was a minority who were gravely suspicious of fascism leading up to the Second World War and were very vocal in that suspicion, who thought that Chamberlain's appeasement policy was just wrong. That far from being the peace in our time he promised, our appeasement would only serve to embolden Hitler. One of those who faced the most criticism for his prescience, suspicious prescience perhaps, was Winston Churchill. He saw fascism for what it was, an existential threat to the West. No one needs a history lesson from me, but it is possibly worth noting now, especially here, and thanks to our lovely friends outside, that it is perfectly acceptable and actively encouraged in every school, university, TV channel and media organisation across the West to be suspicious of fascism. In fact, if we listen to our friends outside, that's not enough. You've got to be an anti-fascist. You've got to take direct action against fascism. Chamberlain today just seems like a moronic simpleton to me. So perhaps the deaths of millions of people could have been avoided if only Churchill's suspicion had been heeded, that his perspective acknowledged, but he stood alone whilst the train continued to hurtle towards us because we didn't want to upset anybody. It is an entirely natural and positive human instinct to be suspicious of many things. From teaching our children not to get in cars with strangers, to friends checking in on each other when one is going on a date with a new person for the first time, suspicion is healthy. It sparks in every single sinew of our being. It is the product of generational caution in pursuit of survival. It's central to our very fundamentalist of instincts. It isn't prejudice, it's prudence. Suspicion isn't hatred either. It's pattern recognition. And I would like to make it clear at this point, Arwa, I would like to thank you so much for inviting us to have this debate. And I know you've struggled so much with people trying to cancel you. And I know exactly what that feels like. So thank you so much. I think I would like to make it very clear that I am not here to express suspicions of individual Muslims at all. There are many Muslims, including within my own family, who I love deeply. And as a Christian, I'm commanded to love my neighbour and to pray for my enemy. It is my most strongly held belief on this planet that every single human life is sacred and all lives matter. But I am absolutely not, and I will not, be commanded to love or submit to ideas or ideologies. As was mentioned earlier, as Jesus said, render to Caesar what is Caesar. Within one directive, he created the separation between church and state, which in Islam does not exist, which literally, Islam literally means submission. So there is no church, there is no state, there is only Islam. My suspicion of Islam, therefore, is strongly, and I think reasonably, held. Islam is a comprehensive social, political and military doctrine which leaves no part of its followers' lives untouched. As Andrew Hussey, the British historian, says, Islam more closely resembles a ruthlessly efficient war machine than a religion. Islam is borderless, expansionary, and interested only in submission to Allah. And then for us, for some of us, unfortunate non-believers, we're given three choices.
Point of information. When was the last time there was a jihad declared against a foreign government and the expansion of Muslim lands into non-Muslim lands? When was the last time?
What's that got to do with what I'm talking about?
Well, you said that it's a military war machine. It's been around for quite a long time.
A point of order has been raised.
When you're giving points of information, you need to be very audible so the microphone picks
I thank the ex-president for his... I'm not sure that's a point of order.
I'm also, as people may or may not have noticed, I'm not an Islamic scholar, and I'm not into giving you a history lesson about the Quran. But I will give you a history lesson into the bits of the Quran that I understand and the bits of Islam I understand through those that I love and from my readings. So Islam gives you three options, as far as I can tell, as a Westerner. Submit. Pay the jizya, the tax, which institutionalizes inferior status for non-Muslims in Islamic states. Or, excuse me, three, war with Muslims. Right. Notably, within those three options that Islam offers you, there is not one option which says, let's live in peaceful coexistence as equals in a pluralistic society. Not once. Not once does it say that.
I'm certain you are aware that there is an entire chapter in the Quran, chapter called O Disbelievers. The final line of that verse in the Quran is, to you is your faith and to me is mine. Are you aware of that chapter in the Quran, and are you aware of the teachings of tolerance the Quran and the Hadith and the Sunnah have taught us for centuries?
Allah, thank you. I'm just going to explain to you, one of the reasons why I didn't want to start quoting Quran verses was because I didn't want to come here and start talking about, it says here that you chop people's heads off, it says here that you do that, and it says here that you do that. I'm sure that there are very, very, very many verses in the Quran that talk about peace and love and happiness. It's just all we get is the bombs, the running over, the knives and the beheadings. So I'll move on if that's all right. Thank you very much. I'm done. Move on. Thank you very much. So I've said, notably, peaceful coexistence with non-Muslims is not an opportunity offered. A position which can reasonably be held to say that it creates not just suspicion, but tension within a Western, secular, liberal, Christian goldfish bowl that Tom Holland tells us we all live in, right? That's where we live. We do. No one knows anything anymore. Everyone's feelings matter. So one thing is certain and is backed up by all the data. Muslims living in the West are pretty suspicious of us. So I'm not going to talk about why the West should be suspicious of Islam. Let's talk about how suspicious Islam is of the West. The Policy Exchange report, titled Unsettled Belonging, published in 2016, which claims to be the most extensive research of British Muslims ever conducted, revealed that, let's do it, 43% of British Muslims supported the introduction of Sharia, not British law, Islamic law. 53% prefer to send their children to school with strong Muslim values, suspicious perhaps of Western ones. Maybe, I don't know. 44% that schools should be able to insist on face coverings. Does this sound like a community which seeks integration? Do we have a right to be suspicious of those who reject our values and the societal norms of their host country? 24% sympathise with violence organised by groups to protect their religion. That's what the Muslims say. And 31% thought that it was acceptable to keep more than one wife, illegal in Britain, but fine in Sharia apparently. And 35% believe that the Jews have too much power in the UK, 52% compulsory halal. I could go on and on and on and on. But most important to me is the free speech of this. So let's get this out, shall we? 78% of British Muslims believe that no publication should publish pictures of Muhammad. An overwhelming majority. That rises to 87%. That's 9 out of every 10 Muslims that are walking the streets today in a country which absolutely abandoned blasphemy laws. Suspicion is not strong enough a word. The West should resist Islam in the strongest terms on free speech grounds alone. So here we are with this cartoon, right? And it's time to show that I will not submit. I will not adhere to the religious laws of far-off places. Now, my wife asked me not to show this for fear of repercussions in my family, but I told her that if I did not, then I had already submitted to Islam. So here we are.
Is it not enough that half the team that invited you to this debate were Muslim women who wanted to hear out your expression and your arguments? Is it not enough that I, as a Muslim president, have invited you to this chamber to give your arguments? Is that not enough justification and evidence for you to believe that we do believe in free speech? I would not become the president of a free speech society if not for this.
Thank you, all right. May I? Thank you very much. May I finish? Excuse me.
A point of order having been raised, I will hear the ex-librarian.
It's a long time since I've been in this chamber and knew the rules off by heart, but in the House of Commons, and we model ourselves on the House of Commons, props are not allowed. I wonder whether the rule on props is the same in the Oxford Union.
I thank the honourable gentleman for his point of order.
Excuse me for 1 second.
One moment.
In the absence,
Mr. Fox,
in the absence,
one moment, Mr. Fox. The ex-president is also raising a point of order, I think.
Just so it's helpful to inform the ex-librarian and others, at least my 4 years involved with society, that ban was not extended and didn't seem to apply to Israel and Palestine flag.
Thank you. So, right, I just want to wrap this up.
I am going to rule on the point of order. There is no bar in the forms of the House against the use of props. However, I would encourage Mr. Fox to make the point and move on.
I was until points of order. So it is in that spirit that I will not submit that I show you this as an Englishman who believes in free speech. I will not submit. I will not bow down. Right. So, I think which rather proves the point I was trying to make, that in this envelope lived your fear, and your fear of Islam and what Islam will do to you that when you upset its very oversensitive sky wizard. And what lived in this room is a healthy and brilliant and noble British tradition of suspicion of Islam. I encourage you to pass the motion. Thank you very much.